American citizen with her undocumented parents and did not give her parents the ability to decide whether or not they wanted to take the 2-year-old American citizen to Brazil, and is now having major complications in Brazil, according to the Washington Post. This is a bombshell story. Emanuele Borges Santos was born in Florida in 2022. She has an American passport and a social security card. Nevertheless, her and her parents, who were undocumented, were deported on a plane with 94 others to Brazil. And Brazilian authorities have never seen anything like this. She's living in Brazil on a tourist visa as the government tries to resolve the bureaucratic predicament of the girl's citizenship. She has no right to healthcare, no right to schooling, and her visa is set to expire within weeks. The Trump administration claims that parents are asked if they want to be removed with their children or not, but her parents say they were never given that opportunity.
But the thing is, in a day and age in which theocrats seek to control the everyday lives of people in this country, regardless of whether they believe in the same principles as them, it's so important to hear from pastors like this, from pastors who are brave enough to speak out against the president to his face as the world watches.
In the name of our God, I ask you to have mercy upon the people in our country who are scared now. There are gay, lesbian, and transgender children in Democratic, Republican, and independent families, some who fear for their lives. And the people who pick our crops and clean our office buildings, who labor in poultry farms and meat packing plants, who wash the dishes after we eat in restaurants and work the night shifts in hospitals, they may not be citizens or have the proper documentation, but the vast majority of immigrants are not criminals. They pay taxes and are good neighbors. They are faithful members of our churches and mosques, synagogues, wadara, and temples. I ask you to have mercy, Mr. President, on those in our communities whose children fear that their parents will be taken away, and that you help those who are fleeing war zones and persecution in their own lands to find compassion and welcome here. Our God teaches us that we are to be merciful to the stranger, for we were all once strangers in this land. May God grant us the strength and courage to honor the dignity of every human being, to speak the truth to one another in love, and walk humbly with each other and our God for the good of all people in this nation and the world. Amen.
Because as Trump put it bluntly a month ago, he's hell-bent on increasing the country's fervor for Christianity, saying, quote, "The separation between church and state," I said, all right, let's forget about that for one time. Which of course means more leeway for religious extremists to force their views on other people, regardless of how unchristian those views really are.
So, people are not, well, we all are going to die. So, for heaven's sakes.
When I see the teachings of Jesus being played out locally in public policy, what I'm seeing is that the Wilson County Democrats and the Tennessee Democratic Party are supporting things like no taxation on groceries to help the poor. Meanwhile, the Republicans shoot that down, right, and give tax cuts to corporations. Now, when Jesus said the first will be last and the last shall be first, I don't know how that corresponds to his teachings. When Jesus said, "Blessed are the poor, for they shall inherit the earth," but yet it seems that the Republican Party is communicating, "Blessed are the billionaires, for they shall inherit the earth." This seems very contradictory, antichrist in the sense. I'm very clear, Christian nationalism is a false teaching. The idea that Christians should seek to conquer their neighbor by conquering the government. What I see with Jesus is he's always protecting people from being encroached upon by religious law that would seek to dehumanize them, cast them aside, and disenfranchise them. I don't see that happening today with the Democrats, but I do see that happening with Republican policy.
And while Trump believes religious conservatives are the base of his party, pushback like this from other religious leaders is critical.
Within Wilson County, what I would call these bastions for Republican politics, go on full campaigns, have Sundays fully campaigning for the current administration leading up to the election. And I think the reason for that has to do probably with donors and tithing. I just saw that the Wilson County Republican Party is going to have Matt Gaetz here to speak in Lebanon. And their blurb that they had on their advertisement for this is a man who stands up for conservative family values. Now tell me how a man who is just being investigated by Congress for potentially there being evidence that he had sex with a minor, he stands up for family values. It's not my family values. Family values I see coming from the Wilson County Democratic Party in terms of local politics, who do care about what it looks like to live day to day in the life of just the common person, you and I. What it looks like is there's no public policy that's actually supporting, within Tennessee, coming from the Republicans, just your common person like you and I. Or those amongst us who are trying to get by, who live in the trailer park down the road. And not to mention the immigrants, who Jesus says, welcome the stranger. The Bible tells us to welcome the stranger as one of your own. I think that some of their misconceptions is that whoever can judge their neighbor the loudest, their neighbor's lifestyle the loudest, or whatever have you, is the most faithful. What I see with Jesus is he's not someone that reduces space. He's not someone who's exclusive. He's someone who's inclusive. He invites people to the table.
Love this video? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MidasTouch and help us blow past 1 million followers.